I'm going to talk about the movie The Nun, and there will be spoilers, so be warned. So we were looking for a movie to watch, and we love to watch horror movies. I know, it's months and months and months ago, but sometimes you just have other things to do. Anyway, we watched The Nun, and we were very excited because we love the Conjuring movies, except for Annabelle. We love Annabelle Creation, except for the first Annabelle movie. Trailers looked scary and fun. It starts really tense and you're not really sure what's going on. It starts with this convent and two nuns, and they are very nervous. They're talking to each other, running. They need to go to this a secret room to get a relic of some kind to put something away. That wasn't really well explained, but they had to go to this place that nobody's supposed to go. Open this door, there's nobody supposed to open. So one of them basically sacrifices herself trying to get this thing. She goes into this dark room, we don't see what's in it, and then she throws out this relic to the other young nun, who runs away because she knows it's bad. She jumps out the window, so she hangs herself. And you're like, okay. But they both sacrifice their lives, because there is this demon thing coming up, and not really sure relic and why, and there's nobody else there. This very sort of like hot guy comes along, and he finds her hanging, outside the convent. He calls the police. You don't see any of that. You just see him finding her, and then we jump to like the Vatican with a priest being called to go to Romania to investigate the suicide of a nun. For some reason, they ask him to go to London to find a nun, a young nun, to go with him. She's like a novice, and she's just, looking after children, and she's cheeky, but she's also a novice nun. It's never really said why her, because she said she's never been to Romania. She doesn't speak Romanian. She is American. In London, that didn't make sense. Okay, we're going with it. She goes with it. They're both very reluctant at first, but then obviously they get convinced. It's the hero journey, isn't it? Where the hero at first says no, but then he goes. So they go to Romania, and they find the guy that found the nun, the dead nun, and they say, okay, you have to take us there because you're the only one that we've heard that will go there. So he's like, yeah, fine, yeah, people don't like to go there because they think it's a bit creepy, they think it's a bit of a bad luck place, but I'll take it. So they get to the convent, and there is still the blood is still sort of running down the steps, still sort of there, and it's still like wet. So they are like, ooh, this is odd. The guy that found the no, referred to him as Frenchie. That was his name. His name was Frenchie. He says, okay, so I'll come pick you up tomorrow. Good luck. Bye. So he leaves. Small things bother me in movies. Things that are not really that important, but they sort of are at the same time. The priest and the nun, they go in, and the priest didn't take his hat off inside the church, and that bothered me. But anyway, he's a priest. He's a priest. He's the first one to take the hat off. It's a convent, but it's like sort of the chapel part of the convent and everything, and then really creepy, very spooky. So it looks like it's deserted, right? So we hear that it's deserted, but then there is like this voice of a woman that's like, what are you doing here? Your business here, and then the guy's like, look, we're here to investigate the suicide of your nun. We're very serious business, so we're here to investigate. And the voice, you don't see it, you just see this sort of like a throne, and then there's like sort of kind of like a Woman in Black kind of situation, where it's like a veil going down, and you don't see a face, you just hear a voice, and the voice says that it's after 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and they're not supposed to speak after that time. They're only supposed to do their prayers and stuff, so they're gonna have to stay and talk tomorrow. So okay, and then all of a sudden there's nobody there, disappear, and they're fine. They're like, yes, let's hang out here, it looks great. They're somehow in this sort of a guest quarters, I guess. It's not really part of the convent, it's like adjacent to it, where they're staying. and they just reminiscing. Blah. Nighttime, lights out, they're asleep. The radio turns itself on. The priest, he starts to see this little boy. So we learned a little bit about the priest's background, and he starts to see this little boy that he tried to help, but he failed. And this little boy is just there walking around, so he starts to follow the little boy, and you're thinking, no! And he's following little boy, and then little boy vanishes, disappears. Then he ends up in this graveyard. So at the beginning, when they're walking around the grounds of this convent, they find lots of graves with bells on them, the rope going down on the ground, and they explain that, you know, they used to have that in case you're buried alive for some mistake. Then you could ring that bell and somebody would come and get you. So you know that that's coming up, and that's how it comes up. So the priest ends up, you know, being buried alive by some unnatural forces, and he rings the bell, he rings the bell, he rings the bell. And then she wakes up. Her name was Irene, and she wakes up. She was played by Vera Farmiga, who I really enjoy. I think she's a really good actress, and I think she really did what she could with it, and I think she was very, very, very well cast as a young nun. And obviously her sister is in the other movies, and her sister has a cameo on this one at the end. She finally wakes up and finds him and takes him out. They don't really talk about what happened, which I thought was a bit weird, because if you're both religious people, you talk about, you know, the kind of stuff that you saw, the kind of stuff that you felt, being pushed. I don't know. And Frenchie comes back the next day, even though the first night when he was leaving, he got attacked. He was walking back to his little cart, and he sees this nun figure, and he's calling her, and then all of a sudden, of course, she's a demon who tries to kill him, but he's somehow managed to escape. So the movie, it has lots of very interesting things, and it has lots of scary things, lots of scary and spooky imagery all around. Happy with that. There were a few things that really bothered me. When you get really heavy with all of the demon action and things, it was all very physical. When you're watching like a supernatural movie, there is a lot of psychological things going on, and there's a lot of things being thrown around, but you don't actually have this demon thing doing it to the character. For example, when you're watching Conjuring 2 and the little girl is being thrown off from her bed and she's flying around and banging around the walls and things, there are forces doing that, but it's not the actual character demon picking her up and throwing it. You know, it's all done through supernatural forces. And with this movie, it was very physical. You have a scene where Irene is face to face with the sort of evil nun demon. They're like in this pool of water inside the convent. Somehow they're like underground somewhere, and there's all water, and the demon nun is physically holding her underwater. You wouldn't have that, would you? You have just the nun being there, and you see her being unable to pull herself up, rather than having this demon physically put their hands on this girl. The evil devil non-demon thing held Frenchie by his neck up against the wall. You wouldn't do that if you're watching all of the supernatural movies. There isn't a lot of that, a lot of touching. So the convent was actually empty, right? But Irene keeps seeing nuns and talking to other nuns. Then she believes that they're all there. They're not. They're just like ghosts or apparitions that are actually trying to help her from the demon. They know that Irene is there to investigate and will eventually get rid of this demon, but they also need to help her do it. That's the idea. One of them is just like the demon posing as a good ghost nun or something. They shoot it with a gun. Can't remember who brought the gun, if it was the priest or Frenchie. One of them had a gun and shot it, and it actually bled. and turning to then there's another one I think that turned into smoky fire, and then it became a monster movie. And I think the point of all of the Conjuring movies is that they are supernatural demon ghost movies, not a monster movie, not a zombie movie. So it did kind of lose me. It was annoying because it had so much going for it. I mean, the production itself, it looked beautiful, clothes were really well designed. It looked great. You could see that they put a lot of care into how they filmed it, into the sets, into the clothes, all of that stuff. And then you see ghosts becoming monsters. And then there was this one part that I thought, oh my god, oh. They find the relic, and the relic was actually vial with the blood of Christ, the actual blood of Christ, right? That's how you seal the demon away, is a little drop of that, and it goes away. So they find it, and Frenchie says, holy shit. The priest says, the holiest. I'm all for jokes. But when the priest be like, hey, why you saying holy shit to the blood of Christ? No, he's like, yeah, that's the holiest. But I guess, when you watch a lot of movies, you get really naggy about the little things, so it ends with them finally getting rid of this demon using the drop of blood, seal it away. But like I mentioned before, the demon was actually holding Frenchie by the neck and stuff. You think it's all gone. They drive back home, everybody goes back to their own house. But then it goes to the future. It shows Ed and Lorraine Warren in a seminar, and you actually see the mother of the first Conjuring movie. You actually see her in the audience. I think that's how the first movie starts, isn't it? When she is in the audience of one of their seminars and then goes talk to him. The exorcism that they're showing is of Frenchie, so he did actually get possessed by the demon. What I didn't get about that is, yes, they seal it away, but I get it, how it could be false. It was still on him, and then it comes back in the second movie. It's the same demon again, and does that mean he's just gonna come back again? Maybe I'm just not getting it right, I don't know. That's how the movie ends. But yeah, it was fun. It's good entertainment. Wasn't the worst thing in the world. It wasn't as good as the others, though. It was a bit faulty. It's alright, It's okay. If you have now or some, if you have it spare in your weekend, you haven't seen it yet, and it is on one of the streaming platforms and is free. Yeah, get some popcorn, grab a bar of chocolate, watch it. It does have some really scary things about it. I'm not gonna say it didn't scare me, but it wasn't as effective as some of the other Conjuring movies. I'll tell you that. If you're up for it, go watch it. If you're not, watch something else. Watch the first Conjuring. That was scary, wasn't it? Annabelle Creation was scary, so go watch some of that. Yeah, that's it.